Right now on the National Weather Desk, Hurricane Ian sets its eyes on South Carolina, how the region is preparing for landfall. And while across Florida destruction is rampant, we'll see the heartbreaking images and look at what could be next for the devastated region. We'll take a renewed look at a role that climate change could be playing in the severity of tropical storms and how stronger hurricanes are impacting wildlife, especially sea turtles.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. We are once again focused on Hurricane Ian this morning. This is a look at Georgetown, South Carolina, where that location between Charleston and Myrtle Beach, you're seeing it there. It's wet. Ian expected to make landfall somewhere there early this afternoon. And here's the latest headlines. Ian is gaining strength as it approaches South Carolina. Max winds now around 85 miles an hour, and more than 2 million people are still without power. These staggering images of the destruction are almost indescribable, with homes, businesses washed, blown away, especially in that pocket of Southwest Florida. Many Florida airports are scheduled to reopen sometime this morning. Officials expect the deaths related to the storm, but so far, no official count. Several key bridges in the region are out, including this one that's near Fort Myers, like the heavily damaged bridge to Sanibel. It's the only access to and from the island, and that means you need a boat or a helicopter to get on or off the island. Well, many people have homes to return to, little to return to. As they go inside, they're finding that their belongings are pretty much ruined. Receding water levels revealing the scope of the devastation. The walls may still be standing, but there is little left inside. And we have team coverage this morning across Florida and South Carolina, bringing you the very latest on where Ian is going, the damage left in its wake, and a look at some of the science behind forecasting hurricanes. But first, let's look at where Ian is this morning. And we're going to start here with a look at the radar, because one of the things that you're going to notice is the eye. It's a little less defined, and you're seeing a whole lot of rain now back ashore, but the center is yet ashore. We have not seen landfall with this system with Ian just yet. But watch it here. The forecast, landfall sometime early to mid-afternoon, say around 2, 3 o'clock or so, in that Myrtle Beach area. As it comes ashore, strong tropical storm, if not still a hurricane category 1, with winds probably over 85 miles per hour. And then notice the track still to the north and northwest, still hanging on to category 1 strength, tropical storm status, even in the wee hours of Saturday morning. And that means still some wind, still the threat of power outages in this area through the Carolinas. And by late Saturday afternoon, it'll be sitting in southwestern Virginia, what's left as a tropical low. Lots of moisture coming this way all the way to the north. We're looking at around 6 inches of rainfall around Raleigh, North Carolina, just to the west. Columbia, look at Blacksburg, even around the D.C. metro area, could be 2 to 3 inches of rain. And of course, the coastal flooding, the tidal flooding. Right now, I'm seeing some power outages in our power potential map here for Charleston, for Myrtle Beach, areas around Columbia, maybe even Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, North Carolina, and eventually toward that area of southwest Virginia, Roanoke, Blacksburg, as they get the heavy rain for Saturday. Well, now let's head out and see what the situation is this morning. We begin with meteorologist Gracie in Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina, no stranger to water. In fact, it's dubbed the Low Country for a reason. Flooding here on a sunny day, but today definitely not a sunny day. It is cloudy. It is pouring rain. The winds have picked up significantly here this morning, and this is going to be a rough day here in the Low Country. Flooding expected as we go through about midday. That high tide expected right about lunchtime today, and there could be major flooding during that time. We've already seen that water very high here at low tide this morning. Now, the city has spent a lot of money on infrastructure to combat flooding, and Ian, as it comes ashore through later on today, it certainly will be the test if any of that has worked. But right now, expecting major flooding conditions and, of course, a few inches of rain, gusty winds, already feeling those tropical storm force winds, and potentially a Category 1 hurricane coming on shore somewhere in South Carolina as we go through the day. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Gracie.
And there are few words to describe the devastation in Fort Myers, Naples, and other portions of Southwest Florida. Many people lost everything, and by one estimate, only 20% of the people have flood insurance. Our coverage continues with Stephen Quinn in Fort Myers.
The damage is catastrophic in Fort Myers, and it gets worse the closer you get to the beach. Boats like this just left in the road, making roadblocks for those people now driving back in, trying to get to their homes and see that damage firsthand. The death toll from Hurricane Ian is uncertain, but public officials in Florida have braced the people here for the worst. In Fort Myers Beach, Hurricane Ian's storm surge was so strong, it tossed boats like they were toys.
I actually have a big catamaran, a motorboat in the middle of my pool right now.
This beach community hardly recognizable to the people who live here and called it home.
I'm crushed.
Sheriff's deputies closing the only bridge to the beach to the public, saying that they needed time and space to be able to begin cleanup and damage assessments. Overhead, Coast Guard crews run rescue operations to nearby Sanibel Island, which is cut off from the mainland.
These shots we're seeing from the sky really show the expanse of the damage. The National Weather Desk storm chaser Brett Adair took to the skies over Fort Myers yesterday. We spoke with him about what he saw, and we should note that there are some audio issues here because of the spotty cell service in the area.
Unfortunately, it's going to be a long time before residents can even get back in to, salvage what they have left, which, honestly, there's not much. And it was just absolutely devastating. We saw images of, what we expected after dealing with such a powerful hurricane strike. The Coast Guard and the military are moving in to continue those search and rescue operations as we still have many people missing. The communications are still cut. It's going to be a very long time before they get all those back up. I know they're working with communications agencies to try and get the mobile cell phone towers into the area so that we can try to get some of those communications back and maybe people can reach their loved ones. It's going to take some time for everybody to be able to get back in and just kind of assess the situation, and that's what officials are trying to do now.
It really is just a tragedy down there, but for so many of the rescue workers, they're working so hard. The people themselves, everyone is just exhausted. They're spent. All right, well, some of the Florida airports, many of which closed on Tuesday, will start reopening today. Megan Gillen is in Tampa with more.
We are here at Tampa International Airport, where we are seeing signs of life. Cars returning here. The first time, guys, since Tuesday evening. Take a look. Doors are opening. Flights will resume in and out of this operation at 10 o'clock this morning. I want to show you the board. Still a little scary because you're going to see a lot of red and a lot of cancellations, but for the first time in days, we're seeing some departures on time, some arrivals there as well. We know for many people who evacuated from Hurricane Ian, they're now returning home to Tampa today to see their homes for the very first time. Some of them unsure of what they're going to find.
Well, all Thursday, rescue crews were helping people stranded in their homes. This was just one of the many scenes that played out in the Orlando area. People walking through flooded parking lots, taking whatever they could from their homes. Some even carried their pets. Others pushed air mattresses with their possessions. Everyone just really stunned by the devastation. And check this video out here from meteorologist Ed Petrowski that he posted on his Instagram page. It shows the planes landing in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina yesterday in 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. You can see the plane a little bit. If you watch there, it's rocking back and forth just a little bit, but of course it does make a safe landing. Well done. Maybe a couple of queasy people on the plane too. All right, and coming up on the National Weather Desk, Ian heads to South Carolina. We'll talk about worst-case scenarios and how you can prepare for them. And as Ian makes its way towards South Carolina, we'll take a look at how sea turtles in that area might be impacted. But before we go to break, let's test your weather wit. What is the strongest hurricane to ever make landfall in the United States? The answer when we return after this short break.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. It's a chilly start to your day throughout most of the Northeast. Notice some 30s and 40s. It's a little bit warmer or less cool as we go down into parts of New Jersey and New York. Now, the afternoon will feature temps in the low 60s, so a seasonably cool Friday is on tap. The general trend will be for increasing clouds as the remnants of Ian try to make its way north. Some of that wet weather will arrive, especially into southern New England on Saturday. Skies will be brighter farther north.
I'm meteorologist Amy Aronson, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We've got another mostly dry and cool day ahead of us. Temperatures end up in the mid-60s on Friday. Getting into your Saturday, cool to begin. It's also going to be rainy and breezy because we are tracking a lot of rain from what's left of Ian. Plus, temperatures actually struggle to get out of the low 60s. And here's a look at when the rain arrives. We see the first showers late Friday. I think the heaviest rain actually comes through Friday night into Saturday morning and then lingers to scattered showers throughout the day.
Tracking Hurricane Ian as it continues to make landfall in portions of South Carolina and moving inland. The forecast track model runs are showing it dropping plenty of rainfall north of Columbia, heading over towards Greensboro and these areas up around Raleigh, Fayetteville, all getting some decent rainfall. Also, the wind will be tropical storm winds moving in, but drier conditions once you get west of Atlanta as we go through the remainder portion of the day. The temperatures will be cooler in the Carolinas, but out west in the 80s.
Before the break, I asked, what is the strongest hurricane to ever make landfall in the United States? The answer, the Labor Day hurricane of 1935 with wind speeds of 185 miles per hour. Remember here, Ian, Wednesday afternoon, it made landfall with wind speeds that were at 150 miles per hour. They had just dropped a little bit before landfall. Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country right now. First up, there Danville, Virginia, near the border with North Carolina. Southwest Virginia is going to see rain today from Ian and then some gusty winds coming in also late this afternoon and this evening. A high temperature, just 56 degrees. And St. Joseph, Michigan, which sits on the coast of Lake Michigan, that building on the left, home to the Silver Beach Carousel, if you've ever been there. The region looking great for starting here October, sunny skies, a high of 65. So a great October weekend coming up. And it's been foggy in Amsterdam, New York, still foggy there west of Albany. The clouds will stick around for the day with a high temperature of 63 degrees. We'll get to that one in just a moment. Look at that. And now here you're seeing Myrtle Beach facing Hurricane Ian coming up just hours from now. They're under a hurricane warning. They've got some heavy rain coming in, could see upwards 6 inches, winds maybe even around 60, 70 miles per hour right along the coast and a high of 75 degrees. It's shaky cam there now. Ian inches closer to South Carolina. We want to take a look now at how climate change impacts the strength and the severity of tropical weather. Our Emily Gracie sat down with meteorologist Bernadette Plackey and asked how climate change is playing a role in severe storms.
One of the things we're seeing with climate change is that tropical systems are intensifying more rapidly. And if you think about it, a lot of our extra heat is going into the ocean. So the oceans are warming up, and warmer water is the fuel for all of our tropical systems, from our tropical storms to our hurricanes. And what happens is when you have that extra fuel, they're exploding more quickly. And there's a few reasons that that's not good. One, it makes for stronger storms. Two, they're happening as people are preparing on land. And so when you're preparing for what might be a Category 2 storm and it becomes a Category 4 storm, that's a much different storm that you're dealing with. And you don't have as much time to prepare or evacuate when it changes so dramatically. Another thing with our warming waters and with climate change in general is that sea levels are rising. So when you look at a storm surge, it's going that much higher and that much farther inland. In this case, this is a big storm surge. But even on some of the smaller systems that we're seeing make landfall, the water's going that much higher and that much farther inland. And think about it, only a couple of inches of water puts it above your electrical outlets and can really do damage on a house.
What is the importance here of continuing to study them, and what can we do in the future to prepare better with that research?
It is really critical to keep studying these storms. I mean, we've really learned a lot. When you look back at the history of meteorology, before satellites, we couldn't even see these storms offshore. We had to rely on ships or other countries reporting stuff, and then a storm would change by the time it would come to our land. So satellites revolutionize how we even look at these storms. And the more data we're getting as we have different crafts flying into them, when we have drones, when we have the hurricane hunters, the more data we can get, the more we can understand these storms, and that helps us prepare and keep people safe going forward.
And climate change has a lot of impacts. It has impacts on the weather and the severity of storms. Those impacts not only uproot humans in the area, but they also can have devastating impacts on wildlife. As Ian makes its way to South Carolina, sea turtles on the coast are facing a daunting threat.
Loggerhead sea turtles have been nesting on low-country beaches for generations, but over the years, sea level rise, climate change, and other processes have played a major role in the ever-changing beaches, causing some to erode, including Botany Bay. And eroding beaches have people concerned the turtles won't be able to nest on them, but DNR officials say the sea turtles are resilient.
It's tough to say what it'll look like in 10 years. Certainly beaches change, the beachfront moves, the marsh moves. Sea turtles are also resilient, but it's ingrained in them. They like to come back to the same spots. So the sea turtles will be here.
The erosion has also made it difficult for officials, survey teams, and even visitors to get on the beach, having to clear the pathways and go out to the beach in between tides.
Well, no two storms are the same, but that doesn't mean we can't look at the past to help prepare for what's coming. So as Ian makes its way to South Carolina, let's turn now to meteorologist Chris Nessman near Charleston to explain more.
I'm here on Sullivan's Island, where 33 years ago Hugo made landfall. The powerful storm is often described as a worst-case scenario for Charleston. The truth is, it's almost a worst-case scenario. A real worst-case scenario would be if a hurricane as strong or stronger than Hugo hit here on Kiowa Island. It's the kind of scenario that hurricane experts say would test the very fabric of the greater Charleston area, because the strongest part of the hurricane would go right into Charleston Harbor.
And you drive that right front quadrant, that eye wall itself, the core, right into Charleston Harbor of 160 mile per hour wind, when something like in a Michael situation was still intensifying. That is a big, big difference.
Mark Sudduth has chased hurricanes for years. He and his crew placed cameras in Mexico Beach, Florida, when Hurricane Michael, a strengthening Category 5 hurricane, made landfall in 2018. He says a strengthening eye wall of any major hurricane is a huge factor for intensity and destruction.
The evidence is actually very compelling that you get stronger downbursts of wind, so the wind effects are more pronounced. Your storm surge tends to be higher.
Michael caused astounding damage. Hugo caused similar damage in parts of South Carolina, but it was north of Charleston near Ondaw and McClellanville, areas that were relatively rural and unpopulated. While Hugo's power was truly a generational event for the region, recent studies done by the College of Charleston show we've actually experienced worse storms in the past. Storms that killed thousands hundreds of years ago may be relegated to history and story, but they show what can actually happen if the setup is just right.
Let's take a look back on this day in weather history. Grand Rapids, Michigan reported snowfall hitting the ground September 30th, 2003. This is the earliest occurrence of measurable snowfall for the area, and it beat the old record by 1 week. Well, before we head to break, check out our weather window for today. Some dolphins decided to make an appearance in the calm after the storm in Florida.
Weather window presented by the National Weather Desk.
I think they're happy. A sign life is returning to normal. These dolphins seem to be quite chipper after Ian cleared out of the Tampa region. Now to Abingdon, Virginia, and other members of the animal kingdom. This toad was spotted keeping cozy under some moss.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest for the day today. Starting to get a little bit of cloud cover and rain to move into the Ohio Valley from the remnants of Ian, but the rest of us pretty dry and temperatures on the mild side for a lot of us. We'll see more clouds out across the plains, and that rain does move a little farther north from Ian heading into Saturday, barely clipping the Ohio Valley. A lot of the plains look good on Saturday, but by Sunday, a little bit more rain in the Dakotas.
Well, good Friday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Succi, and our forecast today across the region, we get a cool morning with a lot of sunshine to look forward to through the afternoon. 70s and low 80s, Arkansas and Oklahoma, Louisiana. Beautiful day, even across Texas. Might get a few clouds out in western Texas. Then here comes Saturday. Nice, cool, refreshing start Saturday morning for your early activities in the afternoon. Again, a lot of sunshine and highs under control, lower to mid, upper 80s.
Well, hi there and a happy Friday morning to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Month of September going out with some more warmth up and down the I-5 corridor. We'll make it back up to 71 in the City by the Sound today. Mid-70s out of L.A. and San Francisco, and upper 90s for Las Vegas and Phoenix. In the meantime, you can see the showers pushing through Yellowstone and Jackson Hole, courtesy of this big disturbance that dives into the Four Corners region this weekend. And that's the scene from here.
It's Friday. That means we're looking ahead to a big weekend of football. Meteorologist Katie Morgan is in Nashville with her Friday football forecast.
Well, it is almost the weekend, and you know that means one thing. It's time to take a look at our games of the week. Let's first start off with college here. Weather's looking pretty good in Oxford, Mississippi. Ole Miss taking on Kentucky. Temperatures will be in the upper 70s with sunshine. Little warm in Oregon. That is where Oregon will take on Stanford. Temperatures again in the mid-80s and even warmer as we head to Texas with Baylor taking on Oklahoma State. Lots of sunshine here with the upper 80s. Then we look to Sunday, some big games going on. One of those in Maryland. Baltimore, the Ravens taking on the Bills. Temperatures in Maryland looking to be in the low 70s. Little cloud cover, some shower activity possible. Packers in town taking on the Patriots in Green Bay. Beautiful in Wisconsin at 68. And the Raiders taking on the Broncos in Las Vegas. Temperatures are up there hot with high of 95. I'm meteorologist Katie Morgan.
And of course, you can follow us on your favorite social platform. We'll be right back after this short break. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you here on Monday and take a look at all the weather events that happened over the weekend. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson. Have a wonderful Saturday and Sunday, and remember, keep an eye on the sky.